Good morning to one and all. I am Purna Prakash, Assistant Professor of AI and DES. Now I am going to teach about access control matrix. An access control matrix is a table that defines access permission between specific subjects and object. A matrix is a data structure that acts as a table lookup for the operating system. A password scheme to allow access to user computer account may be viewed as the simple instance of an access control matrix. Each resource has a list of associated with it. A computer account which authorized entities may access and a successful corroboration of an identity allow access to authorized resources listed for the entity. Access control matrix model can be divided into two methods: Boolean expression evaluation and their history. And protection state transition consists of commands and conditional commands. Special rights. Special rights are principle of attention of privilege. Access control and authorization. Access control is a process to determine who does what to what based on a policy. It is controlling access of who gets in and out of the system and who uses what resources when in what amounts. Access control is restricting access to a system or system resources based on something other than the identity of the user. Within the access control matrix, anything that a system might need to access, like a file, a piece of hardware, or a process, is known as an object. All the subjects like user process and other files that might need access have varying permission known as rights. The matrix lists objects along one axis and the subject along another to provide information about the varying right assigned to different subject. Usually, the goal is to keep rights limited to reduce the risk of compromise. The simplest framework for describing a protection system is the access control matrix. Two fundamental concepts in field of authentication are access control life and capabilities. Protection state of the system describe current settings. Value relevant to protection access control matrix. Representation of protection state. Access control list. Access control list, called as ACL, is a set of rules that define security policy. These ACIs contain one or more access control entities known as ACES, which are actual rule definitions themselves. These rules can restrict access by specific user, time of a day, IP address, function, such as department, management, level, etc., or specific system from which a login or access attempt is being made. An access control list is usually used to filter network traffic. ACLs can be configured on a network device with packet filtering capacities such as routers and firewall. ACLs contains a list of conditions that categorize packet and help you determine when to allow or any network traffic. They are applied on the interface basis to packet leaving or entering on interface. Access control require the enforcement persistent policies in a dynamic world without a traditional border. In the past, access control methodologies were often static. Today, network access must be dynamic and fluid, supporting identity and application based use access. Access control rules must change on risk factor, which means that organization must deploy security analytics layer using AI and machine learning that sit on top of the existing network and the security configuration. They also need identify threats in real time and automate the access control rules accordingly. Access operation. Some access operations is file and directory. File and directory is present in their Unix. For example, you can read their data. It read from file. List directory contents are present. Write to be a file. Create or rename a file in directory. Execute to execute a program or a file in directory. Search the directory. Access rights specific to a file are changed by modifying the file entry in its directory. Access operation. Permissions Windows NT. Permission of Windows New Technology File System. NTFS can read, write, execute, delete, change permission and change their ownership. Protection state of their system. To describe current settings, values of system relevant to protection. Access control matrix describe protection state previously. Matrix describing rights of object. State transaction change element of matrix. Definition of protection state. The state of a system is the collection of the current values of all memory location, all secondary storage and all register and other components of the system. The subset of this collection that it deals with protection in the protection state of the system. Definition of access control matrix. An access control matrix is a tool that is describing the current protection state. Protection state is considered as a set of possible protection states like P. Some set subset Q belongs to P consists of exactly those state in which the system is authorized to reside. Whenever the system state is in Q, the system is secure. When the current state is in P belongs to Q, the system is not secure. Protection state in continuous. Characterizing the state in Q is the function of security policy, preventing the system from entering state in P and Q, the function of security mechanism. Protection state characterizing the state in Q is the function of securing policies, preventing the system from entering state in P to Q in the function of the security mechanism. Access control matrix is described protection state previously, matrix describing rights of subjects. State transaction change elements of matrix. For example, we have Alice and Bob. When build a document and edit execute under function.com. Alice is going to execute and execute their read. Bob can read, write and then execute and read and write. Boolean expression evaluation. ACM control access to database field. Subjects have attributes, verb define types of access, rules associated with objects, verb bear. Subjects attempts to the access object. Rule for object, verb evaluated grants or denies access. Access controlled by history. Statistical database are designed to answer queries about group of record yet not reveal information about any single specific record. Assume that database contains n record. Users query the database about set of record is C. The set is the query set. The goal of attacker is to obtain a statistic for an individual record. The query set overlap control is a prevention mechanism that answers queries only when the size of intersection of the query set and each previous query set is smaller than one parameter are. In practice, this control would not be used for several reasons, including the need to remember all prior queries. Access control matrix capabilities. If the access rights are kept with the subject, then these are subject access rights. Every subject is given a capability. Alice capability, edit and execute their function.com to execute and read. Bob's capability is build their document to read, write, edit, execute, and fun.com execute, read and write. Copyright. Allow possessor to give the right to another, often attached to a right, so only applies to that right. R is read write that cannot be copied. RC is read write that can be copied. Is copy flag copied when giving R rights depends on model, instantiation of model. Own right usually allows processor to change entries in ACM column. So owner of object can add, delete right of other may depend on what system allows. Can give right to specific set of user, can't pass copy flag to specific set of user. Attention privileges. Principle says you can give rights you do not possess. Restricts addition of rights within a system, usually ignored for own owner. Why owner gives herself rights given them to other, deletes her rights. Key points of the access control matrix. Access control matrix is simplest abstraction mechanism for representing protection state. Transition alter protection state. 6 primitive operation to alter matrix. Transition can be expressed as commands composed of this operation and possibly conditions. Access rights can be kept with the subjects or the objects. Access control list ACL. An ACL stores the access right to an object with the object itself. ACL for build docs, Bob is read write. ACL for edit.exe is always execute to build and execute. ACL for fun.com always execute read, build execute read and write. Management of access rights can be comfortable. Therefore, users are placed in groups and derive access from users group. Advantages of access control matrix: clarity and simplicity. To provide a clear and straightforward representation of access permission for all subject and object in the system. Granularity. Enable fine-grained control over who can access specific resource and what action they can perform. Audit and compliance. Facilitate easier review and auditing of permission to ensure compliance with security policies and regulation. Flexibility. Flexibility can be adopted for both small system and large complex environment. Disadvantages. Scalability. In large system with many subjects and objects, the matrix can become enormous challenging to manage. Storage overhead. Maintaining a complex matrix requires significant memory, especially in system with numerous resources. Dynamic changes. Frequent update to access permission can make managing the matrix comfortable. Sparse representation. Most cells in the matrix are often empty, leading in insufficient use of resources. Some real-time example application in information security investigation. Forensic evidence access control. During digital forensics investigation, an access control matrix can define which investigation have access specific piece of evidence and their permissible actions. View only, analyze, modify. For example, ensuring only authorized person can access. Incident response management. When responding to a security breach, the matrix ensures only authorized user can access critical system or log to prevent further damage. Example, restricting access to compromised server to incident response team. Summary of an access control matrix. An access control matrix is a vital tool in information security investigation, offering clear insight into access permission and helping ensure controlled and audited access to resource. While it excels in clarity and granularity, its scalability and efficiency challenge must be addressed through technique like access control list ACLs or role-based access control RBAC in larger systems. That's all about access control matrix. Thank you to one and all.